Hello, welcome all to this edition of the Chai Chai Exclusive Tea Club, where every 3 months, every quarter, we send you a selection of teas according to the season. In this video, we're going to talk about the selection of teas that we selected for fall 2025. Club members have already received the teas, and we've already met online. That's what we do. Every 3 months, we meet online. We talk about the teas that you've received, that we've selected for you, and you ask questions. But some people don't get a chance to come to those meetings that we do on Zoom, and so I make this little video to talk a little bit more about it, and also for people who are not, who haven't signed up and who aren't members, to see a little bit about like what kind of teas we share and what it's all about, what we do. So let's get started. For the fall, the first tea that we're going to talk about is this little 100-gram cake. It's a 2018 show pour, and it's from Baishui, which Baishui translates as white waters. Here you can see, if I keep it in the shade and it doesn't get too bright, you can see it's quite golden. Yeah, it's a lot of golden buds. It's very tippy. Very tippy. Now, tippy's not better or worse. Tippy, if you know a little bit about show pour, you kind of know what to expect when it's tippy. You're going to get a thicker, sweeter, denser cup, but it won't have as much staying power as bigger leaves, generally speaking. What's special about this tea, though, isn't that it's tippy or not tippy, really. It's the raw material itself. The raw material itself is coming from a wild forest of ancient trees, and their offspring. So it's not like in an ancient forest every single tree is 300, 500, 600, 800, or 200 years old. There's always a mix of young trees too. So when a tea isn't picked from a single tree, that's in this case it's not picked from a single tree, it's just picked from the area. It's going to be a mix of tea trees and ages of tea trees. They could be 60 years old, they could be 50, they could be 100, they could be 120. It's a mix. But more than being important in itself, how old the trees are, what's great really is the environment, the natural ecosystem. Yeah, these are trees that are growing without anybody watering them, putting fertilizer, pesticides, insecticides, or really tendering to them in any way except for watching that nobody's done anything to the trees that they pick, and just picking the trees themselves. Now, that kind of raw material, which is so excellent, normally is reserved for sheng pour, for the raw pour, for rather than for show pour. This is special in that sense. That's why I love this tea and chose it for this edition, because it's a show pour actually made with fantastic raw material that's beyond plantation tea. What else can I say? It's you'll find a very typical woody, earthy flavors, but there's also some really nice sweetness to it. There's jujube, like that red date fruitiness about it, and it's just a real pleasure to have such fine pour. It's already lost any kind of fermentation flavors, any woody flavors. It's 2018, so it's 7 years old already. It's a real nice tea and a good start for the fall season. A warming tea. It's one reason why we choose pour in the fall and the winter. The show pour, it's very warming and very cozy, and I think you're really gonna like it a lot. The second tea is I'm actually going to brew it while we're here talking. This is the one. How can I do this without you? There you go. You might be able to see it better like that. I make these videos by myself. I sometimes wish that I did it with somebody else so that I can make better quality videos. But for now, it's just a one-man operation with the camera and everything. Anyway, so this tea that you can see is a liu bao, which is another fermented tea. Many of you are probably familiar with Liu Bao. If not, Liu Bao is a very important fermented tea from China. It's from the Guangxi province, and it's one of my favorites. And it's perfect in the summer, and it's perfect in the fall, and it's perfect in the winter. It's perfect really all the time. So, where we start with Liu Bao tea is really special. This one is really special. It's a 2004 Liu Bao, but it's what we call a raw Liu Bao. Now this is quite confusing. Many of you are more acquainted with pu'er tea and know that there's raw and cooked, right? Sheng and shou. Liu Bao's processing has changed many times over history. I'm just going to speak a little briefly about it, but I really recommend that you to learn a lot about Liu Bao, to visit Global Tea Hut's archives. If you don't know Global Tea Hut is an amazing tea project that supports organic and living tea. And they teach, and they produce a magazine. It's a quarterly magazine currently, but if you go back in their archives, you will find, and you can find these online. They share them freely. You will find an issue that's completely dedicated to Liu Bao's history, and that's issue number 71. But you can also find some articles in December 2015 and December 2016. That's where you'll get a full as full of a picture as you can get by reading. But really, basically, Liu Bao has changed many times over history, and I can only discuss really right now that basically there was Liu Bao before the 1950s and after, and the Liu Bao before the 1950s was steamed. And then it began to de-enzyme the tea, and then they began pan frying it, like most Chinese teas are done nowadays. It's funny because often Japanese teas, green teas, right, are de-enzymed by steam, and some people think of it as a Japanese thing. It's not. De-enzyming with steam as was done for centuries in China. And things evolve, and so that was the first big change in Liu Bao tea, and so the Liu Bao tea that people know from the 60s, 70s, and onwards is going to be different from the older Liu Bao tea that they were drinking. Liu Bao is a fantastic tea for eliminating humidity from the body, so that's why it's good even in the summer. But I find that it's great in the fall and the winter too. That it eliminates humidity. It warms you inside. So it's just great. The thing is in the 60s when so the history of Liu Bao and the history of pu'er are kind of interrelated. Pu'er tea was at that point in the 60s something that was drunk. Produced raw. Shou pu'er didn't exist yet, and it was being aged slowly, and it still is. That still is the case. But now there's another category which is shou pu'er, and for Liu Bao was the inspiration for shou pu'er, and so in the Yunnan factory heads went to they were looking for a way to speed up the process of the slowly aged pu'er. They looked to Liu Bao, and they looked to copy their processing with the Yunnan leaves, which are different, right? Bigger trees, bigger tree varietal, and different everything really, soil, land, temperature, climate. In any case, their initial experiments of doing the same processing didn't really work well for their tea, and so they adapted it. But it was the inspiration, and then Liu Bao really lost favor in the world marketplace as shopware came about, and then why this is really it's like funny is that Liu Bao then also got influenced by pu'er. So they realized that they could also make a different kind of Liu Bao. Now, they were already doing the fermented kind, so they started making the greener kind and selling it green and fresh. And I have never offered one of those teas before. I've tried them, but I haven't been overwhelmed with any of them to really offer them. I find them interesting. I find everything interesting. If it's organic and clean, it's interesting for me. But not interesting enough to justify choosing it to sell or to share. Until now, this tea is that type. It's the raw Liu Bao that was made in the Shengpuer style back in 2004, and now 20 years have passed. And this is interesting. This is delicious. This is like one of my favorite new teas this year for sure. It's so good. Now, it's not as thick as the Liu Bao that we normally share and that we normally have at the Teahouse and such, and like the standard Liu Bao that people make today is thicker. But here, it has like a lot of damp wood, camphor, pine. It tastes a bit like a Shengpuer. It does, but it also has some smokiness. Some Shengpuers have smokiness too. These are all words to try to describe how it's similar. It's its own thing. I mean, you just have to try it. If you are in the tea club and you have it, I'm sure you're enjoying it. For me, it's like this flavor even. It's the flavor of fall. It's the flavor of leaves. Decomposing leaves. What is tea but leaves, right? We're drinking leaves and it's the fall. But fermented leaves, this flavor this aroma is the aroma of my childhood. Bagging all the leaves that had fallen. That was one of my chores. Picking the leaves from the trees and putting them in the big black industrial hefty garbage bags, and then jumping on them. You jump on those leaves. You jump on those bags of leaves and take out all the air, and all that air that came out would smell like this. So for me, it's a romantically a tea that brings me back. It takes me back. Not the centuries that this type of tea really would be the culture of it, but in my own life, it takes me way back, and I love it. So, with that, let's go on to the next tea, which I really love as well. This one is a Kung Fu tea, and it's a Kung Fu tea that we had packed into small Kung Fu size packets. These are about 5 to 6 grams of tea. It varies, and it's a nice package with a sturdy cardboard on the inside to protect these fantastic leaves. You can see it's where it says that where am I? There. Qiang Li Xiang, which translates as the aroma from 1,000 miles away. That's how we translate it. It's not exactly the name because it's not talking about miles. They're talking about li, and 1 li is approximately 3 miles. So 1,000, 0.3 miles. So 1,000 li is approximately 300 miles. So we could be foolish and say it's the aroma that you can smell from 300 miles away. But we say 1,000 because they say 1,000. Anyway, poetic explanation of its origin of the name. but what it's alluding to, right? But what's amazing about this tea, so this is a 2021, and that's nice because the roast has mellowed and integrated well into the tea by now, and Wu Yi tea is important. This is Inner Park Wu Yi tea, yeah. So Inner Park Wu Yi tea is important because it's the best. It has the terroir that makes Wu Yi famous. Yeah, the cliff tea, rock tea, volcanic soil tea, grown in a natural UNESCO protected park that is the birthplace of oolong, and it's really the birthplace of oolong, and it's the pinnacle of oolong tea. It's the leaves themselves, the varietals, the terroir, the mastery of the roast. I mean, there's no better oolong than Wu Yi tea. In my opinion, it starts there and it ends there. Like that's the best. Now there can be many qualities. There are many qualities, and there's Inner Park tea, and there's tea that comes from the border of the park, and there's tea that comes from the town and the outside the park, and there's tea that comes from the neighboring towns from outside the park that's called Wu Yi, and then there's all the imitations in the market that are called Wu Yi tea because they were roasted, and somebody wants to sell them as Wu Yi tea, and there's lots of that. And all that even those teas can be delicious sometimes. Yeah, that said, there's something to be said about a nice leaf, well roasted, wonderful fragrance. It can be enjoyable. But like this is next level. Yeah, this is next level because you'll see. I mean, it's that minerality. The minerality you really only get. It's not just a roast. It's the minerality. You get that from the soil. Yeah, you get that. And you really notice it a lot in the later steepings. At first, you're going to notice the roast. Of course, it's the roast comes up at you. It was the last part of the processing. The last part of the processing is the first thing you're going to notice. So it comes out first, and the last thing you're going to notice in the later steepings is the terroir itself. And I'm afraid to pour it out. I have a hard time showing. Yeah, such a hard time showing. The leaves are stripped. It's not a bald oolong. Basically, that's what I want to show you. And you're gonna notice notes of very woody notes, some chocolate, like pure cocoa notes. Then there's a fantastic note for here that takes me to like a Cuban cigar. That sweetness, that woody sweet tobacco. Yeah, and then there's some spicy note. It's interesting. And this one is a spicy note that I like. That also evokes bay leaf to me. But the most important thing is not. I mean, these notes are kind of fun. Sometimes we talk about the notes. People want to know the notes. They want to look for the notes. I think that's great. But it's more than that. Yeah, this tea is the mineralness of it is so special. I mean, if you love it, you love it, and I clearly love it. I hope you do too. But this tea is best brewed Kung Fu. Yeah, 1 second. Kung Fu. I won't get into Kung Fu brewing here, what it really means. Hopefully you brew Kung Fu as well, and you know what Kung Fu tea is. Briefly speaking, what I'm talking about is a nice Yixing clay pot and short steepings, lots of tea, and mastery. Yeah, Kung Fu tea is about mastery. It's about making the best cup of tea possible, and controlling temperature, controlling heat, and other factors. This tea will really shine if you have a Kung Fu practice. Otherwise, oolong tea can be finicky. Oolong tea is more complicated to brew in other ways. Yeah, you can overbrew it easily as well. So hopefully you can do that. Brew it short. Use the whole pack. Yeah, don't just use the whole pack in one setting and do brief steepings. Hopefully you have a nice Yixing pot. If you don't, it's okay. Like, you use the pot you have, but make it in a smaller pot and brew just a matter of seconds. And with the water as hot as possible, and you get the water in the teapot and out of the teapot as fast as possible, and you go increasing the time, the steeping time, by seconds. Yeah, you can start with like 3-4 seconds, and then you're talking about like 5 seconds, and then like 7 seconds. Yeah, little by little increments, and then it is incremental. So each time the space is exponential. Yeah, each time the next one the time goes a little bit longer. It's a way of starting. There's many ways. Like I said, I shouldn't get into talking about Kung Fu brewing, because there isn't a one lesson to give you on how to do it, or one way to do it. It really is about knowing your tea and experimenting and getting the best out of it. And that there's no quick 2-minute lesson that I or anybody really can give you on how to brew good Kung Fu tea. Okay, so that leaves us 1 second, and the next one. I make this tea to do this video. It's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure to drink this tea with you guys. Okay, next tea. Get ready for this. I hope I can show you the picture of this one. Well, I think I can. It's just fantastic. Can you see this? It's unlike anything you've ever seen. The colors are like the fall. There's green, there's yellow, there's purple, there's red. And the leaves themselves are quite, there's buds. There's beautiful buds. There we go. Now I can see the colors. There's beautiful buds. There's also leaves. Green, yellow, orange, red. This is a wild tea. It's a wild tea from Hasiang, Vietnam. It's a green tea, and it's a purple tea. So purple tea is fantastic. Purple tea can be fantastic. Purple tea can also just be a hybrid that was cultivated that is not impressive. Like when I think of purple tea as being impressive, I'm thinking the wild purple tea. Yeah, these teas grow in the same types of forest as this first cake does. Yeah, a wild, diverse, ecologically diverse, ancient tea forest. It's not plantation tea. It's not a plantation varietal. It's a naturally occurring wild mutation of a purple variant that is there to protect the tea trees from the ultraviolet rays. So some leaves mutate and become purple, and that protects the plants from the UV rays. As far as much as we understand, that's what we understand is happening. This purple is anthocyanin, which is the same, also present in blackberries, in cherries, and in blueberries. Yeah, so it's the same thing, and it's you can read about the health properties of anthocyanin and realize that it's good for you. But that's not really my approach to tea. Isn't about what each thing is good for, and I think that's great. And some of you, if that's what you're interested in, for sure, like, find studies, read about them. It has a lot of anthocyanin, what that's good for. For me, it's great because wild tea. It grew among songbirds and foxes, and it's just amazing tea from old trees that have seen much more of time than I ever will. And the most amazing thing, though, really, about this tea, the most amazing thing is its flavor and aroma. it's unique. It's unique. I want to say, okay, it's citric. Yeah, there's like a grapefruit, lime zest, citrus component to it. There's also very floral, yeah, with rose note, and fruity with lychee. It's complex. It's tropical. It's and it's fall-like in the sense that it just looks like fall. It looks like fall, but it'll take us. It's a warm green tea that I think you're gonna love. I mean, I love it. Yeah. As I was saying about the properties, though, if you like that, then read up on it. For me, the biggest property about tea that I want to really get involved with sharing with people is make time to drink tea. Yeah, make time in your life to slow down, enjoy tea, share tea with people, converse. Um, the plant itself, its medicine to me is there, and it can be. There's other components, I'm sure. I, but to me, the biggest one is a really practical one that changes our lives, and by making space in our lives for tea. Uh, I could go on and on and on of why that's the reason to drink tea. That's the main reason. Um, okay, and so the last tea is the bonus tea. The last tea is the bonus tea. You can see it's a bald oolong. Yeah, bald oolong from Taiwan. Uh, this is interesting. Of course, we love to choose interesting things. Yeah, that's what this tea club is about. If you haven't realized yet, it's here in the tea club. We select teas that we don't have at the tea house, or that I'm thinking that I would like to have at the tea house, or that one day we might have at the tea house, or that I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough of these teas to have at the tea house, and I just want to get a small amount for you people, and share them and talk about them and learn and enjoy. And they're not commercial teas. I don't. If you know Chai Chai Tea House, we're not about commercial teas anyway. But yeah, these teas are all special. Anyway, this tea, this last one is a ruby GABA oolong. Now, I've just told you I don't like talking about properties, but an exception is GABA tea. I mean, this is GABA tea. If you might know what GABA tea is. You might know what GABA is. You might have heard about GABA. You might know somebody who's taking a GABA supplement. GABA was not added to this tea. GABA was not added to this tea. Some people think that you added GABA to my tea. Well, why'd you do that? I didn't ask for that. No, nobody put GABA in the tea. GABA is naturally present in tea. It's one of the many wonderful things that it can be in tea, and is in tea in smaller or greater concentrations. The special thing about GABA tea, though, is normally most of the GABA, the relevant quantity of GABA, leaves in the processing. Like when the tea comes into contact with oxygen, it leaves. So to make GABA tea, they produce it specially in a nitrogen-rich environment, and in that environment, in that anaerobic environment, the GABA, let's say, leaches in and doesn't disappear, and so we get the full benefits of the GABA. And what are the benefits of GABA? In this case, like I said, it's the exception. I'll talk about the benefits of GABA. I'll talk about the benefits of GABA because it's an outlier. I drink GABA tea at night. I drink GABA tea right before bed. I can drink tea. Like I don't have a caffeine problem or a staying awake problem or an excess energy problem. I can drink tea, but when I drink GABA tea at night, I sleep wonderfully because the GABA relaxes the central nervous system and you sleep deeper. And I thought that I slept wonderful, and I do sleep well without GABA tea. But if I drink GABA tea before bed, I wake up in the morning knowing I slept better. I feel more refreshed. It's a physical thing. It's not a mental thing. I know it. I know I slept better. That's not the only reason why people take GABA, though. It's a supplement that people take for many different reasons, and you should read more about it. But it's good for attention. It's good for muscle recovery after exercise. It's good for other things. And the kind of reason why I talk about the properties is, one, because I love to drink it myself for these properties, but and because I drink enough tea for all the other reasons that tea is important. But I realize that there's lots of people who can't drink tea at night, and this is a way to drink tea at night, share tea at night, have a bowl of tea at night, and then not suffer insomnia or whatever. Some people really can't drink tea at night. The effect of the caffeine lasts longer, and yeah. So now, the last thing I didn't say about this tea is the varietal itself. This is also very interesting. It's a ruby Hongyu, ruby red Hongyu, or red jade, number 18. That varietal was made specifically to make Hongcha red tea. In the West, called black tea. It's red tea in Asia, Hongcha, ruby red, red jade. This varietal was made specifically in an attempt to produce a Hongcha in Taiwan that was different, a novel flavor, a novel tea, something uniquely Taiwanese. And they took a endemic varietal, a Taiwanese wild varietal, and they crossed it with a Burmese with a Burmese Asamica, and got this new varietal that really does have its own notes. Ruby has like a wintergreen, like a minty, deep wintergreen flavor. Anyway, I had tried it as a white tea, and now as a first time I found it as a oolong tea. It's a GABA oolong, and I love it. I love it, and it's deep. We have other GABAs at the Teahouse, and this one is the perfect one for right now for fall and winter as well. I hope you found this really interesting. I really enjoy talking about the teas, sharing the teas, meeting up with you guys on Zoom, seeing you at the Teahouse, recommending you teas, teaching in the courses and workshops that we do in person. And I hope to meet you. And I hope you sign up for the club and discover these teas with us. And until next time.